So this is how we set it out for the service. First two rows is the family.
Right, that's good. Like, on the way through.
Everybody doesn't get to see that. What was that? Two rows, please, that family?
Ah, you can see it.
Working on digger toes.
Right.
Letchworth Rugby Club long. Probably link it to YouTube. Oh, is that? This morning I thought, so we've got, but if it ain't, no, if it ain't good enough, if it's good enough for the, like, across the match, you know what I mean? If it ain't good enough for this, then that.
Alright, thank you.
came in here last, I come in after you went up, all lights off, but get a little drink. Just looked in the bar, the lights come on. The lights out. We haven't got a word. That's how big James, the word is quick. The vocals are we own. But the 3-minute working last night properly. Just get stressed. I was all Yeah. I'll talk out the money. You set it up. You
One, two.
I'm tempted to delete that
One, two. Let's use this one as the main one then. We'll use this one for that one's fine. One, two. 3, 4, 5, 6. The yellow one, yeah. The yellow one's fine. One, two. That's fine, just as if you like. No, because when you've got full room, it's all full room.
No, that should be on, yeah. Oh, bloody hell. I did write it in
It's a head to mind, but it's a real feel.
Alfie, just run round and turn him off now for a minute. Hello, you're right.
It's about 20 seconds away, you should be able to see. I know it's going to listen to it. Might be better than one, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we'll
Gives a bit of backlight and goes dark, yeah. Might be better.
I'll leave you with YouTube and I have a look at see if you get it. Can we see this on YouTube? Oh, no, no, good. Yes, we're like
HDMI can't plug in there and use this to go
No,
there to there.
no.
He's just walked to, I think, and that's the service on there. I think he's just given us a memory stick to go for the service to go on the TV, but it's a bit late in the day unless we've got a laptop or something to put it on. We can't get it. Yeah, no, she just pulled it out, so we can't put it on. Have you got a laptop there?
Not here, no.
We can't put that service on the TV.
No. I told them.
Yeah, have you got, does your laptop take USB? Normal size USB, yeah. Yep. Okay.
I did tell them it had to be on the laptop.
Well, Chris is going to go and get one, but... Morning, you alright?
Yeah, especially when you're over the top.
You come back to get a laptop. Should we put them out? Google.
Yeah, forward. And send up everybody.
No, I just came back. Yeah, cheers.
Hello, Johnny. How are you?
And then he never went to the doctor. No, I need to go.
Yeah, they're walking in Letchworth all day.
Sorting out a stream for people that can't be here.
Right.
Yeah. Just sorting out the service on the lake. You can't give them a This is taking everything can to get this nice. We're here last time. We've got it in the first year. Last time we couldn't make it. This morning we were Richie with everyone and his mother's work.
Yeah, John, I'm just trying to do one stream now. Good. LG, is he down the...
Oh, he's very good.
No, fine, mate. Thank you.
Pretty decorated.
How come it's got a lost flag up there? It's all in London. Fulham.
His first couple of hours of
Keep coming in.
yeah.
Coming in.
Very well, how are you?
That's I got him to do a talk for his, isn't it?
Yeah.
I saw him like last time I see him, and he was wondering, going, oh yeah. And then he was saying anyway, I didn't know he was a long way off now.
I'll tell you who'll be here, you probably haven't seen for a long while, Dave Wiseman.
Yeah.
Because Richie knew him, Dave Wiseman recently I guess there's quite a lot of time. He goes walking every day around Richie's, he's finally got to leave but he
I think it's quite
This is live. Well, I might put the service on the screen as well.
I don't know which one was well, keep that one.
Maybe that's for afterwards. Sorry? The interpreter in the city area. Just in case anything goes wrong, they can't help at all. They all get me involved because I've got all the equipment. Got no idea.
Getting young, 17, 18.
Tell you who I've got one of them. Joe, who's just done 2 years of lecture, works on the bus.
Did you actually go to Guinness? You managed to, you were still, weren't you?
And I ended up
I never want to see you again. I bet you that. 2.5 hours I get connected by I got something and all one. We're on Oh, the back. It's in Halifax, isn't it?
She's never played it. Then the other way is
Well, good copy of you. You need presentation and PowerPoint. Next to the slides, don't you? Well, if it's giving people a picture. Possible, but you really want to risk going down. Might not be just like this fancy. Better type of
No, not music. In the morning at 6 o'clock.
Thank you, gentlemen. If you'd like to take a seat when you withdraw your service, please. Ladies and gentlemen, if I could ask you to make your way round to the sides, please, and at the back, please. Thank you. Okay, please come down. Okay, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to come down here, you can go down to the back here as well, if you'd like. Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to come down to the back here, you can, if you want to.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's a few more seats down here if you'd like to. Thank you. Gentlemen, if you'd like to just come down the sides, stand at the sides, chairs, please. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Good morning. Wow. So many people. A true testament to this wonderful band that we have all come together to celebrate today. Richie Davis. A husband and stepfather, a brother, a teacher, mentor, teammate, drinking buddy, a colleague, and a very dear friend to so many. My name is Lynn Pinky Parker. I am a funeral celebrant, and I have been honoured with looking after Richie's service here at the club today. On behalf of Mandy, Tasha, Matt, and Richie's sisters, Jan and Sue, thank you for being here to support them, to support one another, and to celebrate Richie's life here at Letchworth Rugby Club. It feels especially fitting that we gather on Legends Lane, place where we have honoured so many teammates, club members, friends and loved ones. We have always remembered them in the best way we know, our own way, unique way, as a rugby family. The word legend is used so freely these days that it can sometimes lose its meaning. But when we stop and think about what that word really means, and we look around this room at the names on these boards, the photographs on the walls, and the trophies that tell the story of this club, we are reminded of the people who built this place, the people whose character, commitment and friendship shaped Letchworth Rugby Club into what it is today. And Richie was one of those people. He wasn't just a legend of this club because of what he did on the pitch or the years he gave to it. As you'll hear today, he inspired people. He mentored them. He was more than a teacher, he was a friend. He was kind, generous, courageous, and always there when someone needed them. By the time the memories have been shared and this part of Richie's journey today is over, I think we'll all agree that Richie didn't just walk down Letchworth Lane, he earned and deserved his place in it. So we are here to have a service of celebration, of tribute, poetry and music. And then Richie will leave us and go with his family and close invited friends to complete his journey as a crematorium. Being here at the club means we can take our time, that there are not really any strict time constraints. So it helps us all to relax and take a breath. If you have any messages you would like to share with Richie, there will be time before he leaves for you to have some time to pay tribute to him before he leaves to go on that final journey. To begin today's tribute to Richie, I'm going to ask Andrea to come and read the poem Funeral Blues by W.H. Morgan.
Funeral Blues. Stop all the clocks, cut off the telephone, prevent the dog from barking at his duty home, silence the pianos, and with muffled thrum bring out the coffin. Let the mourners come. Let aeroplanes circle, moaning overhead, scribbling on the sky the message, he is dead. With straight bows round the white necks of the public belt, let the traffic policemen wear black cotton gloves. He was my north, my south, my east and west, my working week and my Sunday rest, my noon, my midnight, my talk, my song. I thought that love would last forever. I was wrong. The stars are not wanted now. Put out everyone. Pack up the moon and dismantle the sun. Pour away the ocean and sweep up the wood, for nothing now can ever come to any good.
Our next tribute is from Richie's friend, John Howe.
I first met Richie in 1985. I was taking the rugby team, teaching boys' school, while I was teaching PE at Allied in Stevenage. He made an immediate impact. Years later, I broke my arm and was looking for a way to get into my teaching job in Watford. Richie kindly offered to give me a lift for 6 weeks. Out of a bad situation came one of the best things that ever happened to me. We then shared lifts to and from Watford for the final 10 years of his teaching career. And those journeys made more than 6,000 hours, not 6 hours, 6,000 hours in time. Gave me the chance to get to know this remarkable man, Richard Davis. What did I discover about Richie? What made him such a wonderful son, stepdad, brother, husband, friend, colleague, lecturer, and teacher? Quite simply, Richie loved life. He spoke fondly of growing up in Fulham and later Cowbridge, South Wales, surrounded by the love of his wonderful mum, dad, and sisters Jan and Susan. His love of learning began early, inspired by his own teachers, eventually taking him to Bristol University to study classics. He was just as proud of playing for Bristol University in the 1978 UAU rugby final at Twickenham as he was of his academic achievements. 20 years at Hitchin Boys and 14 years at Walker Grammar, he gave so much to those schools and pupils, teaching, coaching and refereeing. And a 6-day week was simply normal to Richie. Teaching was much more than a job to Richie. From his early years teaching Latin at Hitchin Boys through Walker Grammar and on to retirement, he inspired generations of pupils. One of the greatest tributes to him was meeting former students years later, who still spoke of him with enormous affection and respect. And I know many of you are here today. Outside the classroom, life was one great adventure. There was Letchworth Rugby Club. Driving coaches for a living around the UK and Europe. His deep love of Wales and the Welsh language. Quizzes, maps, trivia, music. Ancient civilizations, fruit machines, beating the pub quiz machines. History-filled pub crawls, a real ale, and unforgettable for those who were there, minibus trips to conquer the highest points of every English county and visit the resting places of our 50 monarchs. Richie had a wonderful laugh and above all, a brilliant sense of humour, shaped by classics such as The Goons, Hancock's Half Hour and Viz magazine. He believed in fairness, justice and loyalty. And those values shone through in everything he did. He was equally happy tending his potatoes, tomatoes and runner beans as he was searching for the next bargain down at Sainsbury's. He also treasured reading and would often have 3 books on the go at once. He loved his holidays with Mandy and since retirement cycling with his old Hitchin teaching pals. Above all else, Richie loved people.
You'll need to unlock your iPhone first.
He found lasting love and happiness with Mandy. He loved Mandy's children, Max and Natasha, and his 4 nieces and nephews. Richie's retirement brought more time to enjoy life with his beloved dogs, Annie and Darcy. But he never lost that curiosity, kindness and enthusiasm that made him so special and such a gentleman. Richie, we still can't believe you're gone. Thank you for your friendship, your laughter, your stories, your loyalty, your courage and your love. You loved us and we loved you. And memories of you will stay with us forever. Thanks for everything. Love, love, love.
John, that's absolutely really lovely. Thank you so much. Now I'm going to hand over to Elfred, to Dee, and to Johnny to share their tribute.
Morning, everyone. I graduated and completed my teacher training at Cardiff College of Education in June 1980. now Cardiff Met. I was appointed as physical education teacher at the Bowes Lion High School in Hitchin, where I took up my post later that year. At the time, the local authority provided accommodation for probationary teachers. I was allocated a police house in Western Close on the Grange Estate in Letchworth. I would share this house with 2 other teachers. I moved up from Wales on the Saturday prior to the start of the autumn term in September 1980. This was to prove a memorable day, as that afternoon I met fellow Welshman and housemate Richie Davis. Richie was a graduate of Bristol University, a classics master, recently appointed at Hitchin Boys School, an academic and a bookworm. My initial thoughts were, like, I've nothing in common with this fellow. So after our initial introduction, the question was raised, do you enjoy a beer? So that afternoon, we retired to the Three Horseshoes pub in Norton, where we enjoyed a proverbial few hours and got absolutely plastered. Richie's knowledge, storytelling and sense of humour was second to none. We formed a bond that day, which developed into a lifelong friendship. My head department was Mike Cristiano. He was a coach at Bedford Rugby Club, and that's why I joined Bedford when I came to the area. I initially turned out for Bedford Rams and then played for Bedford Wanderers the second. I enjoyed my rugby at Bedford. But it was a 36-mile round trip to train and play, and I couldn't really socialise after matches, so after 4 or 5 months, I decided to reconsider clubs. Right, but at this stage, Richie had settled down and was enjoying first 15 rugby as a number 8 for Letchworth, and he suggested I join the club. I began training at Letchworth and was immediately impressed by the team spirit and standard of rugby at the club. At this time, Letchworth had a useful pack of forwards, and were blessed with a pair of halfbacks in Adrian Thomas and Alan Jones, who would not look out the place in any first-class setup. That means professional today. If the forwards could guarantee a reasonable amount of ball, then Thomas and Jones assisted by some able backs, who soon converted this possession into points. I made my way into the first team and soon enjoyed a place in the back row. I played blindside wing forward, with Richie as number 8, and accompanied by the super fit male model Mark Freeman on the other side. We formed a formidable unit, and I thoroughly enjoyed playing in this environment. That year, we were on to win the Hearts Merit Table. Richie was a complete player. He was a strong ball carrier. He was a very able line-out forward and a strong scrummager. His tackling was bone crunching, and he was the first man on the shoulder if things got a bit tasty. Richie represented Hearts County on many occasions, and he could quite easily have played first-class rugby if he put his mind to it. Richie was instrumental in my joining Letchworth Rugby Club, which is something for which I will be eternally grateful.
So Richie had joined the club for the 1988. After only 1 game in the twos, it was clear he was destined for greater things. So this was the beginning of the reign of the Tafia at Letchworth, where Welsh influence was to the fore throughout the 80s, and especially in the first 15. And what a great 15 it was to be over the next 6 or 7 years. Johnny has already described his attributes on the field, so there's no need for that then. However, on his debut for the first team, he was to discover another idiosyncrasy of Letchworth at that time, and that was the driving of the then chairman B.B. Barrett Esquire, for those who remember vividly. In those days, we had fixtures against the likes of fashionable clubs' second teams, and this day was no exception, and we were playing away to London Scottish. Now, whether Richie was late and had missed the coach, or was just lucky, in inverted commas, to pick up the lift with B, he found himself in the front seat on the way down to the Richmond grounds. In those days, there was no M25 and a lot of 3-lane highway driving, which could be quite suicidal. As they were late, this was Barrett's opportunity to drive at his best, or if you like the worst, depending on which seat you sat in. After about 25 minutes of this, Richie's knuckles were white from grabbing the panel in front of it. He was heard to gasp, "Stay on me!" Barrett was heard to laconically observe, "Davis, Driving on a 3-lane highway is like playing fly half in a rugby union football team. When you see a gap, you go. He was also heard to remark, you either get there or you don't. I think it was the last time that Richie sat in Barrett's front seat ever. Now, when John departed for Wales, Richie took on the captaincy for 2 seasons. With a highly talented side, he was a natural leader, and his era was marked by 2 mighty Hearts Cup finals against old rivals Hertford. On the first occasion, the Letchworth were firm favourites, and the final at Croxley Green was shortly after they had returned from the Portugal tour. Richie had arrived late on tour with fullback LG in tow, and had given the Gopher a cultural tour of Lisbon, which for LG had taken up far too much drinking time. Despite the paper's hype, we were second best that day, and Hertford were worthy winners. The next occasion, it was Hertford who were hot favourites, having beat us fairly easily during the season. However, Captain Courageous rallied the side, and the final was all one-way traffic, despite having left the shirts behind at the club and only getting them from myself and Lidget 10 minutes before kick-off. There is a great picture of Richie and Boss holding the cup, 2 real legends. Richie famously quoted, "It was all about belief. We had to believe we could do it, and this time we did, and I think it helped us being the underdogs." Richie led both on and off the field at this time, and managed to curb some of the more boorish behaviours extant by such games as Names Of, Fizz Buzz, La-Di-Da, the Matchbox game, or simply, I got on a trainer, some of you remember that. After he stood down, he continued to play, mainly in the ones, till he finished, but had no problem playing down the sides and adding to the team both on and off the field.
As you all know, Richie was always very cautious with money. Extremely economical, to say the least. Before every game, the Letchworth spongeman Alec Reed would collect all the players' valuables and place them in a bag, usually a plastic bag, and secure this bag behind the bar there before returning the valuable items to the players post-match. I remember on one occasion we were playing Chelmsford away. As usual, Alex supplied the bag and valuables placed in it. But for some reason that day, somebody else provided a second bag. So effectively, the players' monies and valuables were put safe for in 2 separate bags. After a hard-fought game, I'm sure we won the match, we returned to the changing room, showered and changed us over. At some point during this process, a valuable bag was produced, and Richie immediately went with his bag to recover his assets. As he rummaged through the bag, I could see that Richie was becoming increasingly agitated and he began to become white with rage. It was clear that his items were not in the bag, and suddenly he completely lost it. And in a mad rant, started bell ringing. "Where's my wallet? Where's my nephew's wallet?" At this point, the children were quiet. All players just sat back in horror. We were all stunned and in fear for our own safety. What would Richie do next? Yeah, pregnant with mess. Within moments, the second valuables bag was produced and handed sheepishly to Richie. He soon recovered the missing wallet. Colour returned to Richie's cheeks, and he muttered some choice words as he returned to his corner. There was a palpable sense of relief in the room, which soon turned into a nervous laughter. Another story, Richie. One summer, as a PE teacher, I was officiating at the North Heart School's athletics meeting in Stevenage. It was a glorious day, and everyone seemed to be enjoying the occasion. At some point in the afternoon, I became aware of a couple of young lads pulling about on the very expensive, state-of-the-art pole vaulting landing mats some distance from me. So I began to make my way towards the mats to address the problem. While walking towards the mats, suddenly there was a very loud, booming voice broadcast from the tannoy system. I heard a bass, baritone, Welsh accent shout out the unforgettable words, "Get off those mats before I break your legs!" The one offending voice scampered off like scolding cat. Richie Davis at his inimitable best.
Following on from the wallet story, I would like to point out that although Richie was frugal, preferring a homemade sandwich in his pocket to an Indian takeaway, he always stood his ground. And the purloiner of his soap on a rope from the boys' school, where he took his showers long after he'd left their employment, is now free to come forward and admit his guilt. Another comical story occurred at Weston Close, where Richie had invited his college friends for the weekend, prepared a lavish supper for them on return from the pub. In the interim, the Letchworth boys had visited, hidden all the grub upstairs, leaving a few crumbs on the various plates. The look on Richie's face on his return was priceless. Also at Weston Close, he received the shock of his life. The boys had gone down to Worcester to visit various Welsh friends, but Richie had to miss out. On that legendary weekend, the bull's head that you see above here by the bar door was appropriated, and Leah will tell you all about it afterwards for the price of a pint. On Sunday night, Richie was alone in the house, marking Latin papers, when he heard a scraping at the window. On drawing back the curtains, he found a prize-winning Hereford bull with a wonky horn staring back at him. Fortunately, he had a strong heart. And as a teacher, Richie's deep voice and angular figure and love of the classics, a la Mr. Quelch of the Bunter books, made him a real master of the old school. So many of his ex-pupils still refer to him as Mr. Davis even now, but they all loved and respected him. And again, so many have said what a difference he made to their lives. However, summary justice was a factor in his armoury, as Digger and his mate found out when they had slipped away from a school excursion and were caught by Richie smoking in some seedy cafe. There was a meeting of minds literally between Digger and his pal as Richie banged their heads together, breaking his watch, and a boot to help them rejoin their companions. No lengthy investigations or reports of psychological damage or ADHD, etc. A far more effective way of dealing with recalcitrance. It would not do to leave Richie's rugby career without talking about the various tours that he's departed over the past 40 years. We first toured Ireland in '85 on Podjo Bryn's legendary Ashbourne tour. When we landed in Dublin, it was Good Friday and all the pubs were shut. But the hotel manager let us drink in the banqueting room with another team from the USA. A decision they may well have regretted when Richie, due to his classical leanings, instigated a toga party about 1 in the morning. He was also to the fore in the late 80s when a French rugby team played at Letchworth. The post-match hygiene started normally with downy ones, boat race game, dam busters. The French then produced a coach bootful of homemade vino, so wine drinking games began. Neither side wanted to give in to the other. So to cap things, Richie and Henry O'Brien Coker ordered 2 yards of ale to be filled with the red vino de table. They then proceeded to do them in one. The French, as at Waterloo, just said merde, but they threw in the towel. And Richie and Henry also threw pretty quickly afterwards. Probably just as well. One of the last playing tours was in Ireland in 1998, and unfortunately it was during term time. No bother. A few phone calls from myself on the Thursday and Friday mornings to the school saying that Richie was laid low by a bug, meant he could mitch off school and no one would know. This was fine, apart from the fact that in the final game against Listowel in the last few minutes, Richie fell a bit awkwardly. That's not a problem, said the female doctor on the spot. It's just a sprain. Just drink it off tonight and you'll be fine, which he duly did. But once at Stansted, he had gone a ghastly white the next day, and there was a rush to the hospital by the worries. Yes, he had broken his leg. Try explaining that to the headmaster the next week, especially as a photo of the team appears in the next week's comics. Also, on the infamous Hull and Back tour, Richie drove the minibus, and his mighty patience was truly tested on the Sunday, when we meant to leave at about 2 o'clock, but decamped after 6, with a great battle of Wantford Bridge taking place on the way, between Jokeworth and Hinchy. Plus Rupert's one-liner, the best in the club's history. He'll give you that for a pint as well. Somehow, Richie got us to the broken driveway at midnight, deposited us there for the night. The modern rugby players really don't know what they are missing.
In 1984, I retired from teaching and I moved back to Wales where I began my police career. Some years after moving back, Richie came to stay with me for a few days and we planned to do some hill walking and generally catch up. On a beautiful summer's day, he set off to walk the Ysbyddaden waterfalls near my home village. This walk only takes 3.5 hours. We set off from the starting point at the village of Pontyfechan at 11 o'clock on the Saturday and made our way along the track. I hadn't seen Richie for some time, so we had a lot of catching up to do. We walked 50 yards and we stopped. Richie would tell me a long story. We walked another 50 yards, stop. I'd tell him some tale. Another 50 yards, Richie would stop, some joke. He'd stop and laugh and then carry on. This continued, as you can imagine, all day. We got to see all the stunning waterfalls en route, but ended up back in the village at 6:30 p.m. Twice as long as we should take. By this time, as you can imagine, we were pretty thirsty, and we had to pass my local pub, the Old White Horse, before reaching the car. I suggested calling in for a pint before returning home for a shower and a bite to eat before going out to the pub in the evening. This we agreed. So we called for one, and then of course we had another. And then by now the smell of food was coming from the pub kitchen, persuaded us to stay at the army. The food was good, the company was excellent, the evening moved on, and soon some of my good friends started to arrive. The idea of popping home for a quick shower and change vanished into the ether as I introduced Richie to all my mates and we settled down for the night. We all got on like a house on fire, and during the conversation it was mentioned that Richie happened to be a classic scholar and a Latin teacher. With that, my old friend Barry asked Richie, "Tell you what, I wonder if Richie would translate my old school song." Richie very got, "Of course, yes, I'll translate it for you, no problem." To everyone's surprise, Barry instantly dug out a tacky piece of paper on which the Latin words of his own school song was scribbled. Within minutes, of course, Richie translated the song to all present, much to everyone's amusement. It really was a classic moment. The night developed into a marvellous occasion with fellow members of my local choir contributing to an electric atmosphere with a really good sing-song. We left the premises in the early hours of the morning. The landlady gave Richie and me a lift home, still wearing the muddy, sweaty clothes that we wore all the previous day. Great memories.
Yes, having formed a strong bond in our playing days, and of course being bachelors gay at the time, myself and Richie enjoyed a few good holidays, stroke breaks away. I remember Sicily where myself, Richie and John Gardner had a great few days. Richie's knowledge of the local bus system was truly remarkable. And obviously only about 2 lira a pop. We saved an inordinate amount of money, but not time in waiting for non-existing buses. By day 3, myself and John had rebelled, and at 2 to 1 it was taxis from then on. Then there was a famous occasion when we got 2 tickets for an Ireland v Wales game in 2002. It was on a Sunday, so I booked an early flight to Dublin. So we get there about 10:30, plenty of time for a few scoops before the game. All going well till we realised we were circling around Dublin Airport for an awful long time. It turned out that an American airline had overshot the runway, was blocking everything. We were reverted to Shannon and were then offered a bus to Dublin, which would take about 5 hours. Nothing for it, but we took a taxi to Limerick, with whom a guy which she called the most racist taxi man he had ever met, and ended up in our old stomping ground, Bill Clinton's bar in Limerick, with the 2 tickets on the counter and watching it on the TV. As Wales was done that day, it was not really his day, but we took a train up to join the celebrations, or commiserations in his case, with John the Don later that night. Another occasion going to Ireland, I was flying with Dad to Kerry. We were just about to take off when I had this gasping, stamping behind me, going to the road behind. I looked behind to see a very red-faced Richie, who had made the flight by the skin of his teeth. It turned out he was joining some teaching pals in Tralee, who were on a golfing holiday. But Richard was not into golf, and he would just drive the minibus. So it turned out we had a minibus at our disposal for a whole week. Once we dropped the golfers off, and what a great time we had between climbing various mountains I never heard of, climbing to the tower of the old Artford Monastery, which is now all fenced off, was totally dangerous. There was no health and safety then. The highlight was when Richie turned up at my cousin's house with the minibus. We took all the kids, about 12 or 13 of them, to the beach for the day at Ballybunion. Gave them ice creams, played ball he remembered while we were so unfit. And these guys, who are now in their sort of early 40s, all 6 of my cousins were there, they all remember it over 30 years later with a real fondness, and of course they loved Richie and Johnny when they came round.
In the late 90s, Richie was back in Wales for a few days, so we decided to do another walk together. On a cold but sunny winter's day, I walked with Richie and my brother Richard along the coastal path from Gower before diving into the city. I parked the car in a field adjacent to the council car park in Portland before setting off on our walk. It's about a 2-hour walk between villages, but we stood out along the cliff tops chatting away. Again, Richie was great company with his amusing stories and jokes, a natural raconteur. We got to the city in good time before having a pub lunch at the City Hotel, overlooking the stunning sweet called City Bay. That afternoon, we made a return walk to Port Island, taking in some outstanding views. It had been a perfect day, but as we approached my car into the field, I noticed a parking ticket which was on the windscreen of the vehicle. It turned out that the field was actually an overspill area of the main car park, which in midweek it was deserted. This incident certainly took the shine off the day. That evening, Richie prepared a 2-page letter to Swansea on my behalf, outlining the poor state of signage in the car park, the fact they were charging visitors at all in the predicament, how as expats visiting Wales our day had been ruined by the tents. There were some big words and Latin phrases including this walk through Richie Dickens. I'm going to sign the letter, yours faithfully, John Walters, and in brackets, Leather Richie. John Walters of previous untarnished party reputation. A week or so later, I received an apologetic letter from Swansea City Council cancelling the fine I had been completely exonerated. In April 2000, I went a trip to Ireland, Richie. The plan was to do some hill walking and get to see the Ireland versus Wales Rugby international match in Dublin. Richie took the car and we took the ferry crossing from Fishguard to Rosslare. Brian kindly allowed us to stay in the cottage in the Stone as he was attending a friend's wedding in Los Angeles. We spent a few days exploring the southwest of Ireland and got some interesting walks done. The evenings were spent in the pubs of the Stone and we were warmly received by the locals. Saturday arrived and we were driven to Limerick by Brian's relative Jim Gornell, and there we caught the milk train to Dublin. It stopped at every station and it seemed to take an age to get there. The train arrived late in Dublin, which meant that we had to run across the city to meet the contact Richies who had arranged some tickets for the match. Sadly, we got there too late and failed to pick up the tickets. What now? Disaster. Richie, fair play, plan B, came into action. We got to watch the match on the television at the old Belvedere Rugby Club, which is a stone's throw from Lansdowne Road. It was so close to the ground, in fact, that we could hear the roar of the crowd through the open windows of the club. Anyway, it's an incredible game which Wales managed to win against all odds. That evening, the 7:45 p.m. train for Limerick pulled out the Dublin station with a pair of very noisy and elated Welshmen who sang all the way back on the train. We arrived back in Hartford and Lion in the store at 11:30. With the revelry continued, and I sang Richie accompanied by the resident band. Needless to say, we did not leave the premises until very early hours of the morning. Sometime later, we were informed the recently promoted female chief inspector of the police in the Garden was making a crackdown on late-night drinking in the store. There had been complaints that the licensing laws were not being adhered to. But apparently, this lady was standing outside the Harp and Lion at 1:30 in the morning, and she was so taken by the quality of the wrestling, she turned a blind eye to the whole affair. Well, we have one final story here, which is supplied by Richie's old friend Rob Ball from Cowbridge, an old friend of Richie, and it's regarding the Hong Kong sentence. Rob goes on to say, many years ago, myself, my wife, Sean, and Richard and Alison Kinnick attended 2 days at the famous Hong Kong Cellar. Lager was a drink of the day, and after 2 pints, I had to leave myself. I sat in one of the closets of the gents, and after a couple of minutes, there was a banging on the door, and an irate voice shouted, "How much effing wrong are you going to be?" I told him to calm down, and I nearly finished. Not knowing what to expect, I gently opened the door and said, "It's all yours." I looked up, 5'7", and this giant said, "Rob Vaughan, what are you doing here?" "Same as you, Cat. toilets and sense. You can imagine the next several hours, more beer, more visits, and great fun, as it always be in the cat's country. A great man who will be sorely missed by all who knew him.
As we know, we all know, Richie's brain was like a sponge, and his general knowledge was vast. The pool machines have already been mentioned, so I won't go into that, but I think Norwich suffered at some stage. But his and our finest hour came on the Sky-sponsored finals day of the rugby quiz being held at Twitters and filmed on Sky TV. There was myself, Inda, John the Don to make up the team, but it was Richie who carried the day. We also had a coachload of lively supporters, and to tell the full story of the day would take a full half hour. Cheesy bell end, eh, Smiley? But in the much of the consternation of the Wigton team who were in the final with us and had a real swat in their side, we won by a single point. And it was first class to Hong Kong all the way. And what a time we had in the Radisson Hotel. A real ball. And as there was 5 or 6 of us who all went out, we decided we'd have a meal on one of the people every night. So it was on Ashley's one night, John the Don's the next night, Copper's the next. And these are in pretty posh westernised hotels in Hong Kong. On the last night, it was Richie and Inda's turn to take us out. And they decided to take us for a cultural local meal rather than a westernised restaurant, which hopefully for them was to be cheaper. Unfortunately, all the menu and prices were in Chinese. And more unfortunately, unbeknown to us, we chose some special delicacy soup which drove the price through the ceiling. The look on both their faces at the end was worth the trip itself. But what a great week and what memories, and it was really Richie who got us there. We were integral in doing it, but it was Richie who got us there. And by the millennium, there was 3 of us, Johnny here, Richie and myself, still single. But marital winds were blowing. We all found happiness and love with our other halves in the next 15 years. Richie was the first of the dominoes to fall when we were both invited as a pair to our great friend Sharon Augsburg's wedding. Actually, down there. At Hitchin Priory in 2003, when the gorgeous Mandy was maid of honour. We had a great day, plenty to drink, great food, dancing, and Richie even got the Priory tractor going and drove it in a regular state up the hill. Towards the end of the evening, I said, well, we better strike for home and share a taxi. To my surprise, Richie said, no, I think I'll hang on here. And of course, I could see there was a twinkle in his eye, and a whole new romance was born, which blossomed over the next 23 years. But those are stories for others to tell, and I feel we've told enough, and you guys can tell your own in the interim time during the week. So, it's goodbye from me, and it's goodbye from me.
I can't just feel really sorry now. Justin, you got brother.
Let's stand close to it, okay? Hello everyone, my name is Justin Thomas. I'd like to thank Dave Street, Damien Cushion and Danny Walton, who are teaching colleagues of Richie at Hitchin Boys School, for sharing some of their thoughts about Richie for me to include in this eulogy. I first met Richie when we were both appointed teachers at Hitchin Boys School in September 1980. I was a music teacher and Richie Latin and classics. It was clear from the start that we would be the best of friends. His family home was in Cowbridge, in Glamorgan, just 25 miles from my family home in Swansea. Richie was a true friend. My personal life was going through a rough patch in the mid-80s, and Richie stepped up and helped me. In fact, he knew me better than I knew myself. He was so kind towards me. Part of this help was asking me to be touch judge for his very successful, wonderful first 15 Letchworth Rugby team. This led to me becoming a referee for Hertfordshire. And I travelled as far as Cornwall to referee some rather feisty local derbies. Richie also taught at Watford Boys Grammar School, and again he was revered as a fantastic teacher, as well as a great rugby coach. Richie was the life and soul of wherever he was, particularly every day in the staff room, many evenings in the Cooper's Arms in Tylo Street, and then later the Cricketers on Bedford Road. I remember travelling around the local pubs with Richie when quiz machines were in vogue. He was brilliant at them. He also ruled the roost in the local pub quizzes. He would definitely be my phone a friend on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Dave Streets plays a lovely tribute to Richie. Quote, Richie had a reputation for forgetting or misplacing his wallet when he was in his round. But he was one of the most generous people I've ever known. Generous to a fault with his friendship, concern, care, support, advice, and most of all, his time. On my first day teaching boys' school in 1981, he took me to the Cricketers in Ickleford to get to know the staff, and I never looked back. Also, according to Dave, quote, Richie was the very best company on school trips, but he did fall asleep in museums on the North Wales trip, fall asleep on Chesil Beach during geography trips in Dorset. He always knew more than the local guides on the Italy trips in Rome, Florence, Pompeii, unquote. Anyone visiting his home in Bearden Road could never remember the colour of his carpets because they were all covered in piles of books. I never ventured into his back garden because if it was so overgrown, I would probably still be there now. I also remember post-it notes all over the house, labelling everything in every room in Italian and Welsh. He actually took his GCSE Italian exam at Hitchin Boys School. Dave Street takes up the story. Quote, I had the dubious pleasure of invigilating his GCSE Italian in a small cupboard for 2 hours, keeping a straight face as a true professional, until at the end I announced that time was up, and he then told me in no uncertain terms where I could shove the exam paper. Unquote. As I mentioned before, Richie got a reputation for being a bit stingy with his money, unfairly, of course. Danny Walton reminded me about Richie and the tax-free beers he bought in France on the many school ski trips he went on. So what, I hear you say? Well, Richie was just not content with getting cheap booze. He drank the said beer in Bearden Road and then stockpiled the empty bottles and took them back to France to get 2 cents off each bottle. Damien recalls keeping a diary in those days, and after meeting Richie in the pre-term drinkies in the Coopers, he wrote, Richie Davis likes beer. Damien also recalls a particular event, a mince pie competition which he used to run where his classes got their mums to bake mince pies, and Richie would judge which was the best. There was no prize for the winner. I asked Richie to be my best man in 1997, and then my son Gareth's godfather. I'm so proud that he accepted these roles with his usual dedication. He always asked how Gareth was getting on and visited him regularly. The term legend is overused these days, but that would sum up Richie perfectly. Every student he taught, everyone he met, has a story to tell about him. We love him and miss him so much.
Thank you so much. So now we feel asking you to come and read That Man is a Certificate. That man is a...
That man is success, who has lived well, laughed often, and loved much, who has gained the respect of intelligent men and the love of children, who has filled his niche and accomplished his task, who leaves the world better than he found it, whether by an improved copy, or a perfect poem, or a rescued soul, who never lacked appreciation of earth's beauty, or failed to express it, who looked for the best in others, and gave the best he had.
We're now going to have a little piece of music, and it's somewhere over the rainbow. It's just a little bit of everyone's Richie was born on the 30th January 1958 to Kay and Sue Davis, who welcomed their son into the world when Richie was born in Fulham. His elder sisters, Susan and Janet, were thrilled to have a little brother in their lives. When Richie was about 8 years old, the family would move to Wales because of Ken's job. This would be a huge factor in Richie's life, and pretty much shaped him into the man he became. Richie enjoyed school and would excel in all languages. When he started secondary school, it was the same day as a certain new head of PE, teacher Mr. Hugh Williams, who very kindly sent this tribute to Richie for me to read today. Richard the Cat Davis started his secondary education at Cowbridge Grammar School in 1969. His first day was also mine. Having recently qualified as a teacher, I was appointed head of the PE department. Also starting on that day in September was Geoffrey Bird. Richard and Geoffrey became great and close friends over the years. Richard delivered a truly emotional eulogy to his friend on that other sad day, the occasion of August in around 5 years ago. Richard was a very bright pupil indeed, with an inclination towards the classics. He became a favourite of the Latin teacher, Iolo Davis, in which Latin was a subject which Richard excelled in. On the sporting front, with his size and athleticism, he was a useful second row, or number 8. He represented the successful school first 11 for 3 years, and later in life, the Cowbridge first 15 and their 17. He used his intelligence to great effect on the rugby pitch. He always played fair and hard, and was a valued member of any school team, including badminton and athletics. He had leadership qualities, honesty, integrity, and was capable of true friendship. He was a pleasure to teach, and later in life, it was an even greater pleasure to be in his company. Thank you for those lovely words, Hugh. The former head of PE, Cowbridge School and Chair, and Cowbridge Cricket Club. Richie loved languages and learned how to speak Welsh. He went to Bristol University, where he studied the classics and Latin. Richie, as we know, took a job at Hitchin Boys' School, where he taught for 20 years. He was so enthusiastic about the Latin and classics that many of the boys would sign up for his class. Richie was always so passionate and inspiring about the subjects that boys wanted to learn and wanted to be in his classes. After 20 years, Richie had had enough of school red tape and decided to become a coach driver so that he could travel Europe and get paid for it. So he took the PSV licence down in Wales at Cowbridge, of course, on the old disused airfield that is used as a driving centre there. He worked for an associates coach driving company, which mainly involved driving school children across Europe to skiing destinations and back. But of course, this was right up Richie's street, as it meant he could spend the winter skiing and just popping back at the weekend. After a few years, Richie had decided that he needed to get back into a proper job. And by sheer fluke at a rugby match at Hitchin Boys' School, he ran into a friend who told him there was a job going at the Watford Boys' School. After going in to meet the head, he was pretty much given the job there and then, and Richie was back teaching the classics, Latin and games. At Watford, as we know, he would meet his friend John Howe, who we heard from earlier, when they commuted daily together for 10 years. Richie had met his lovely Mandy when her brother was playing rugby for Letchworth, and she would help at the team. They had known each other for many years, but it was those sliding doors moments. However, many years later, the universe finally got it right, and at Sharon's wedding, Mandy decided to leave her handbag with Richie, telling him that she would trust him to look after it, and that was it. As we know, they became a couple and shared so many interests: love of travel, friends, socialising, gardening, sport, walking. They enjoyed spending time together, and life was just easy together, and they really complemented each other. Richie, as we know, was great to have on a quiz team, and his knowledge knew no bounds. Mandy has 2 lovely children, Tash and Max, and they adored Richie, and he absolutely adored them. When Richie and Mandy moved in together and subsequently got married, they all got along so well. And I nearly forgot to mention the reduced in price because Richie loved to go shopping, and particularly looked out for the bright yellow reduced price because it was like an obsession. He absolutely loved to get a bargain. There were downsides to living with Richie. Downsides to living with Richie. What? I hear you say? This. There's full bags like that. Richie was a bit of a hoarder. Well, some people would say he was a collector. Suppose a beer mat, with 4 bags there. Please take them home. Mandy is begging you. Please help yourself. Take them home. In this beautiful book, in his handwriting, they're all neatly catalogued. I don't know where the book came from, but it was supplied for the public services. S.O. 421. I have no idea where it was from. I was told that apparently. Still free. So yes, there are 4 bags of beer mats, and you are all welcome to take us. Because we are not taking them home, are we, madam? We're going to skip. Printed photos, cassette tape. Yes, cassette tape. John Howe, did we see a bag of cassette tapes? Yes, we did. With Round the Horn, Hancock's Half Hour. I can't remember, but this bag was huge. I nearly fell over it on the way into the lounge. It was massive. Yes, cassette tape. I mean, I can't even remember the last time I saw a cassette tape. But there you go. But they were all stacked neatly labelled in boxes in the garage, with the promise from Richie, I'll get round to that. Yeah, we've all had that before, haven't we, ladies? It wasn't just beer mats that Richie collected though. It was people, friends, stories, and memories along the way. From growing up in Wales to Bristol University, to the Hitchin and Watford boys' schools, playing rugby here in Letchworth, and all the holidays that he and Mandy went on. Richie would collect friends wherever he went. Bearing in mind it is the school holidays, it is a wonderful testament to Richie that so many of his friends have come here today to pay their respects and reflect on the life of this wonderful man, who, without doubt, has changed the life of so many people. And we thank everyone who has joined and watched us via the live channel too, because we know that people have asked to watch the service here today who can't be here in person. Richie's memory and his legacy will live on in many ways, not just as the name on the board, the photos on the walls, or the names on trophies in the history books, the blood, sweat and tears that made this club, or the schools in which he taught, but they will live on in the stories that he told, in the lessons that people have learned, in the friendships that were shared, and of course, in the love there he goes. Because we're not all going to the crematorium for the formal farewell to Richie, we thought we'd do a brief, less formal goodbye to Richie here in the room today. So could I please ask those of you who are able to stand? Richie, family and friends joined together today to celebrate your life with words, pictures and music. We have heard tributes to you filled with respect, reflecting on your life with love and laughter and so many wonderful stories. Richie, we are the ones that have so much to thank you for, and we thank you for being a colleague, a teammate, a good friend, that fun coach driver, taking the trips on the skiing holidays, and all the others, a wonderful baby. The inspirational teacher that made learning fun and interesting. We thank Richie, the mentor who guided people and supported people. We thank Richie, the kind-hearted man, the courageous man, who was always there for everyone to give advice and support. We thank that Richie too. Your club mates here at Legends Lane, they have given you a morning of tribute so far, and I have no doubt it will carry on later into the night when the family return. And I promise to make them sing you some rugby songs, proper ones. Richie, who was a brother to Jan and Sue, a dearly loved brother, we thank you for the love you shared with them, for the close bonds you shared with them, their little brother, who they will miss dearly. Mandy's brother Simon has come home for Australia today, and that is a big deal. So we thank you for coming, for Richie. Max and Tasha's husband Tom, for how lovely they are, taking on Richie as a step parent because that cuts both ways. So they did well, didn't they? I don't think Richie was too emotionally scarred by them. I know Tash adored Richie and Max, and although few with words, we're proud to have Richie in his life. Now Mandy, well of course, she will one true love. After Latin, classic, beer, rugby, random sets of beer names. But of course, Mandy, your true love, and though your life together has been cut short, you will be grateful for the time that you did have together. Mandy will love you for the rest of her forever. She will always be your one true love, because that kind of love doesn't come round twice in a lifetime. So Richie, we will miss you so much. Go on to the next phase with our grateful thanks for having known you, and go with all our love. Be reunited with the legends who have gone before you, and one day we will see you again when we take our last step. Richie Davis, may the road rise up to meet you, may the winds be always at your back, may the sun shine warm upon your face, and the rain fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Amen. If you would like to make a donation to Cancer Research UK, there is a donation box bucket just behind those gentlemen. I'll get to put it on a memory table later. And there's also a condolence book for you to write a message later on. Richie's family will be coming back here to join us after his service, and there will be a free drink for everybody when they come back. So we'll be looking forward to sharing more memories of Richie and continuing to celebrate his life. So please stay here, because they won't be long. The service at the crematorium is also live streamed, so we will put it on the screen for those who would like to watch. I'm just going to hand over to Brian to sing our new anthem. Some of us will be singing along. And then when it's time, we get to sing the song that Brian's done, and we're going to let you all have a little few moments with Richie or if you'd like to.
Hello, service.
Obviously, Richie passed at the beginning of July, and we had a great folk festival up here, which I'm sure Richie would have been here had he been here. And, it's a bit of music I heard there, so I wrote some words, which I think I was in what I call the zone, because of everyone, when you look at the names here, of those who've gone, were so vibrant, you know, a few years back. So I wrote a song for Richie, and I wrote it for all of them. So I give it to you now, and hopefully there's a lot of la-la-ing in the chorus there. La-la. From the land they call legends, you will hear the roar. We play with our hearts till we can't play no more. With the touch-line hooligans roaring us on. Give it our all, and we sing this wee song. We go raring and tearing to follow them all. We never give up till the last whistle calls. Oh legends, oh legends, oh legends, la la. Legends, oh legends, oh legends, la la. For the black and amber we do adore. At the club would last evermore. Oh, and back in the 80s when we won the cup, with a fine band of brothers who'd never give up. In the safest hour and the hours of despair, with Richie our lead it, our cheers rend the air. We go raring and tearing to follow the ball, never give up till the last whistle calls. Oh legends, la la la. Legends, oh legends, la 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 la. For the black and amber we do adore. At the club will last evermore. And when my time is over, I scar my last try. I take one last look at the legends rain sky, and whether they burn me or throw me down in the dirt, just send me away in me old Letchworth shirt. We go raring and tearing to follow the ball. We never give up till the last whistle calls. Oh legends, la 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 la. Legends, oh legends, la 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 la. The black and amber we do adore. At the club will last evermore. Oh legends, oh we do adore. At the legends they will last evermore. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So before you all go off, I've just got a last bit to say, and then when the music starts playing for Richie to leave, our lovely Ben will come back in and take Richie out to go on his afternoon. So, Richie was a legend in so many ways. He will be very much missed. He was always wanting to learn. He loved learning. He always said, never stop learning. So if you try and learn one new thing every day, you will keep the spirit of Richie alive. They say that Latin is a dying language. But since learning about Richie and his love of language and Latin, I discovered that because of Harry Potter, younger people have become more interested in Latin and the language and magic of Latin. Latin has become more trendy, accessible and culturally relevant. I think that Richie would have loved that, he probably do. And who knows, maybe it will mean that one day his beloved Latin will return to the school curriculum again. But you never know, do you? So, today in honour of Richie and his love of Latin and learning, I found the Latin phrase. Numquam destinavus dicere. Let us never stop learning. Thank you for Richie for everything. Go on this next journey with love from us all. we miss you.
Right, if you want to go and pay your last respect to Richie yourself, feel free, because Richie's not actually leaving us until about 2021. So,
Thank you.